There's an app on my phone which I've got, which is instant heart rate monitor. It's something where you put your finger over the camera and where your little flash is, and it measures your heartbeat through your finger. And that's quite cool, and it's pretty darn accurate. You can actually see your pulse moving in the little screen that it's got. Now, the cool thing about this is that it's showed me that my resting heart rate is actually very low. I was very surprised by this. You're meant to really take your heart rate in the morning, just after you've woken up, before you've had coffee, before you've run around, before you've gone to the gym and all that kind of stuff. Yesterday morning I took my heart rate and it was 43 beats a minute. I was like, whoa, that's very low. I was surprised by that. I then went to the gym, had some coffee, did all that kind of stuff, and then later on in the day when I was sitting in the office, I thought I'll just take my heart rate again, see where it's at. And the first one, it was at 50 beats a minute, and then the second one, when I chilled out a little bit more, I managed to get it down to 45 beats a minute. So again, it's still it's incredibly low. And I was having a look on the internet, and it's saying that the average heart rate for your normal sedentary person is anywhere between 60 and 100 beats a minute. 100 beats a minute if you're not doing anything, that's not a healthy heart. So what does this mean? You know, somebody said, oh Dom, that's far too low. And I'm like, well, no, it's not. Like, there is a condition called bradycardia, which is when the electrical communication in your heart gets disrupted and your heart rate artificially slows down, or is evidence of illness. And I would say, yeah, you should probably definitely worry about that if you're not going to the gym all the time and doing loads of exercise. That bradycardia is usually associated, or what I've read, is associated with old age and heart damage, and if you're taking certain medication like beta blockers, which inhibit the electrical stimulus to your heart, or around your heart, or wherever your electrical bits are around the heart. And so I was thinking, why is it that I have got a very low heart rate? Because I wouldn't really consider myself to be very fit. Okay, I can jog, I can do a 5k, I can do a 10k probably, but not at any particularly impressive time or in any particularly impressive speed or anything like that. So how is it that I've got such a slow athlete level heart rate, and yet I'm not really an athlete? Well, what it actually really says is that I've just got a very strong heart, and that with each heart pump, my heart is able to pump out a large amount of blood with each beat. So it doesn't need to constantly be beating all the time to get the blood going around my body. Now, there's lots of different types of what fitness is, and one of them is, you've got your strength fitness, you've got your cardiovascular fitness, you've got your cardiorespiratory, so you've got your heart fitness, your lung fitness, and the fact that your heart and lungs work together. You can have a strong heart whenever you're doing nothing, just pumps blood. You don't need to get oxygen anywhere, or, immediately, it's not important, so your heart can go nice and slowly. Your cardiorespiratory fitness is the ability that your lungs are able to pump the blood full of oxygen as it goes round. And then you've got your muscular fitness, which is the ability for your muscles to extract that oxygen out of the blood as well. So for me, jogging, my calves explode, my legs are killing me. Granted, maybe I've got a little bit more leg muscle than your average long distance runner. So therefore what's happening is my body, heart and lungs, absolutely fine, but trying to get the oxygen into my legs are just killing me. I'm just building up loads and loads of lactic acid, and they're just burning straight away, even doing a very slow 5k, and I'm talking about 5k being around about 27 minutes. What I would consider to be a super fit for me is if I ever manage to get my 5k down to 22.5 or less. For me, that'd be on the running machine, like 13.3 for 30 minutes, or for 22.5 minutes to the 5k. And I'm talking about doing that outside, not on a running machine. So that would be what I would consider to be, I'm properly fit. I deserve my 40 beat or 45 beats a minute heart rate. So the things that I've been doing to make sure that, or that I think that have been helping, contribute to me having a strong heart are: one, I exercise a lot and I exercise frequently, and I exercise badass as well. So whenever I go to the gym, it's a proper session. My heart rate is through the roof. There's regular times where I've been on the cross trainer or the running machine and I've had my heart rate above my theoretical max. Your theoretical max is 220 minus your age. I've easily had it up to 199 or 200 beats a minute several times over the last year. But in general, yeah, regularly have it up around the 70, 80, 90, 95% max heart rate. And that really works the heart. And I do that regularly, so at least 3 times a week. And then on other times of the day, or other times of the week, I'm doing heavy weight training and sometimes high intensity weight training as well. So that definitely puts the heart under a lot of stress during that time, but that stress makes it stronger. And especially if you're doing like heavy weight stuff as well, as a sudden increase of pressure in your whole body, and your heart's going to have to go, oh, squeeze the blood through. And that will definitely make my heart stronger in general, especially for at resting. The other thing I do is I take lots of saunas. Saunas blimmin' hot, around about they're 90, 100, 110 degrees, the one that's in my gym, and I always have a sauna after a workout. Now, sauna is a great way of therapy, muscular therapies. They say like infrared saunas are meant to be even better, but I like just going in, sweating my everything out of me, and I can feel my heart kind of going, oh my god, got to pump. Even though it's not a cardio exercise, it's definitely a heart exercise. Whenever you're in a very hot sun, there's a lot of stress in your heart to pump out the blood around your body to cool you down or to keep you from overheating. So that's definitely something that does that. I also take a lot of, I definitely get my recommended amounts of omega fatty acids, so my omega-3, omega-6 and omega-9. There's a seed which I take which is really good. Chia seed is meant to have like the perfect ratio of those fats in you, and I take a cod liver oil and some other kind of things with that in it because that's very good for your heart. And then on top of that, I generally have a lot of nuts, fruits. I don't like hide away from carbs from like apples and bananas. I love bananas, kiwis, loads of fruits, loads of plant sterols, I think is what they call them. So that's an interesting thing. So that might definitely help as well. I also take a heck of a lot of caffeine. Now that's, obviously you're probably thinking, how's that going to help your heart rate? Well, I don't think it does. I think caffeine definitely, like in coffee and green tea, that definitely enhances or raises the heart rate. So that's why I would say don't take your heart rate later on in the day once you've had 5 pints of coffee and 4 teas, because the caffeine will have raised your heart rate. But generally that means that normally at resting during the day when I've had my caffeine stimulus, my heart rate is just a little bit higher than average, so it's having a little bit more of a workout. So that might, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I definitely think green tea's probably got good stuff in it for you. And finally, the last thing which I would definitely say, 2 other things, is one, I take an aspirin every so often. Aspirin has been proven very, very beneficial for lots of people with either blood pressure issues or stuff like that. I don't have any blood pressure issues. My blood pressure is absolutely in the correct range, and my cholesterol is a little bit below normal, so it's like super healthy. Or my LDL cholesterol, which is the bad fat in your veins and stuff, is very, very low. So where was I? So an aspirin I would take every so often after I've had a heavy gym session, because whenever you do a heavy gym session, your blood pressure has been through the roof. It's been right up, and an aspirin helps stabilize your blood pressure if you take a small amount. I'm talking like the pills that come in from like shops and stuff are like 300 milligrams. I usually take a half one of those, and I usually get the dispersible version because seemingly aspirin is not so great on your stomach lining. But they say if you have it dispersible, that's a lot better. So I usually take about half one of those after a deadlift day or a squat day, just to help whenever I'm resting. And I only take that at night time as well, whenever I'm not going to be eating anything afterwards. And I think an aspirin is definitely a beneficial thing to have at night time because that helps stabilize your blood pressure, and if you stabilize at night time, that means you get more benefit from it. And then this is the thing, the nighttime thing, I would say, is very important, because before in the past, I would go to bed 10:30, try and get to sleep at 11. Now I wake up every morning for 6 o'clock and go to the gym by 7. So, if I was asleep by 11, I was still getting 7 hours sleep, absolutely fine. I then changed it so I was trying to get to sleep at 10, and for that means I was getting 8 hours sleep, and I was like, oh yeah, I feel a little bit better. And then the last one was, or the most recent thing, is I'm going to bed at 9 and trying to be asleep either at 9 or like half 9, before 10 o'clock I'm trying to get to sleep. So it is very early that I'm going to bed, and yeah, I'm not really interested in TV. TV generally just absolute pump. It's usually just YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff that I'm on. So for me, I'm making sure that I'm getting to bed early, and I would say an early to bed is far more beneficial than a late to bed but with a lie-in. The benefits of a lie-in are far more psychological rather than physiological, because you just get to lie in your cozy, snuggly bed. But the benefits of going to bed early, I think I've got it on one of my blog pages where they've shown that an extra hour in bed at the start of a night, you have a much higher growth hormone response than if you have, like, your growth hormone at the start of the night is woo, really high, really low, really high, really low, then it kind of tapers off to the end. So at the end of a night of sleep, your growth hormones are only changing a little bit, so not nearly as beneficial at the end of a night than they are at the start of the night. And the earlier you go to bed, the more benefit you're supposedly to have from going to bed. So you get better growth hormone response, and that growth hormone will definitely be beneficial for all your hearts and lungs and muscles. So that's my little tips. If you're wanting to try and lower your heart rate, lower heart rate doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be more physically fit in whatever sport or specific activity that you're doing, but it does mean that whenever you're resting, your body is under much less stress, heart stress, than if you are having to pump 60 beats or 70 beats a minute. And what I calculated was, if my resting heart rate is 45 and the average resting heart rate is 70 beats a minute, over the course of a single day, my heart will pump 36,000 times less than somebody with a 70 beats a minute heart rate. So 36,000 less heartbeats a day. And also, if you think also, each of those heartbeats is much more relaxed. Well, it's not so much more relaxed, but it's much more easy to pump the blood through my body and get it all easily to all the bits I need to do. So the benefits of having a lower heart rate from doing high intensity exercise, weight bearing exercise, high intensity cardio, saunas, omega-3s, lots of coffee, maybe not the coffee, aspirin, and early to bed, definitely is beneficial for your body, I think. But I would say investigate this idea for yourself, and find out what your heart rate is. It's the instant heart rate monitor which you get on your phone. That's what I use. Hope that helps. Bye bye.